Welcome to the Social Podcast, where no discussion or debate is off limits.
Hey, happy Tuesday. Welcome to the Social. Joining us today, the host of the all-new podcast, Adam Wilde and Jax Irwin is here.
Hello. Thank you for having me back. It is wild in here already, so I know we're off to a good start.
Yes, we really are. And I think this one will only continue to heat things up because if you're recently divorced or you're just out of a relationship or maybe you're considering a conscious uncoupling, you may want to look into something called Camp Heartbreak. It is Canada's first immersive retreat designed to help people recover after the end of a relationship. They offer therapeutic workshops, community support, and classic summer camp fun. So, Jax, would you ever give this a try?
Okay, first of all, the time of year that this camp goes down, spring is blooming, your heart could be healing. I would be down for this. Also, like, I remember that first heartbreak in your early 20s. Like, anything that can get you out of your head and your house and out of that, depression pit you may be in, get out, go meet new people, go to some camp for a few days, do anything that you'd normally say no to, especially an early heartbreak, have at her. What do you have to lose? Right?
I mean, a lot of money. It's almost $2,000. But anyway.
The cost, it's cheaper to have a bag of chips and lie in bed. Just say it.
I know, but you can't put a monetary number on healing your heart and your soul so you can move forward in life.
You know what, Melissa? I mean, that's very sweet, but also $2,000 is a great pair of shoes, or two, or three,
You think
or
that's
four.
going to heal your heart? I mean, I don't know. Listen, I don't think it's for everyone, and I think that is cost prohibitive. So there's that. But I love this idea that you're combining sort of like healing and hope and possibly hooking up. Go with me for a minute, okay?
You've got of course you're going to put sex into it, Cynthia.
Of course. I have a vivid memory from being in my 20s and having a horrible heartbreak. I was just devastated. I couldn't get out of my bed for days. It was awful. When I did sort of emerge, I went out and I happened to run into a guy who I knew from like many years before.
I know where this
right?
is going.
And he also was going through a horrible heartbreak. And so we got together and I basically remember that we didn't sort of leave our bed for like many, many weeks.
This is a daytime show, Cynthia.
I got up, I went to school and then I came back and then whatever. But what I found was he gave me hope in the sense of it was like there are
Is that all
other...
he gave you?
Is that what we're calling it?
I think it was a great reset for me, and it was like a reminder that I can get over this.
Sure.
We healed, we cried, we shared our stories, and then I think it was very cathartic.
So you got under to get over.
Yeah. Everyone heals differently. I like that. I like that. Absolutely.
It was a healing time.
Yeah.
Listen, I think everybody should go to this heartbreak camp. And if you're at home going, I don't need it, you probably need it the most. And I'll tell you why. I hosted a show that essentially was like a heartbreak camp. It was called Revamped. And what we essentially did was took a bunch of women and we put them through the process. You're grieving after a breakup. So we went through the denial, the anger, all of it. And we had experts there. So they got a professional to speak to, not just calling your best friend. We had a trainer. We had a little bit of everything. We put them through the paces for 6 weeks. And I'm telling you, that was transformative, not just for them, but also for me, because I realized a lot of us are walking around with a wounded heart.
Yeah.
And it may not just be about that breakup that you are dealing with, but maybe something even deeper, like your relationship with your family or something that happened to you as a child. So I think it is essential. And I'll tell you something else. For everybody who is a divorcee, who's hopping on those online dating apps before you're out of your matrimonial home, do us a favor, go to the camp first.
Okay.
Work on your issues, and then present yourself back on the dating scene, because I think that's half the problem with most relationships. People are coming wounded and they think, I'm fine.
Hearts.
I ate some ice cream and I'm good. No, you're not good. And you're going to mess up the next relationship. So I think it's imperative to go to this. We should all get a chance to go to breakup camp.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah.
All right.
I think for some people they deal with stuff with others. You're like sort of on team, I need everybody around me. And there's some people who actually go inwards, I think, when they have challenges. And it's not just breakup. It's probably a lot of different challenges. And I'm definitely team go inward. And I do that I totally believe in therapy. When I had my worst breakup in my mid-20s, I went to therapy, and that was such a cathartic thing. And I did need to kind of go inside. I mean, I wish I had somebody, but I went inside by myself for weeks in the dark, and then I was going to therapy, and then I emerged like a flower in the spring. So
a butterfly.
Like a butterfly.
What if the camp gave you one-on-one? What if the camp was like, okay, you don't have to participate in the group stuff, you can do the one-on-one? Would you do it
Here's the thing, in general, I think there are groups or these retreats, they're great for certain purposes. When it's something like a heartbreak, the last thing I want to be doing is divulging my deepest, darkest trauma with strangers. And that's just a personal choice. I think for others, it actually helps to unload. I do unload, but I give it to my therapist because I prefer the one-on-one personalized treatment. I'll go party with a ton of you after, but I need to heal by myself.
You don't want to be in the woods yet.
I don't know. We did a group bonfire on my show, and I'll tell you, sitting around and burning stuff that you hate, that was given to you by someone you hate.
I've done that, and
it was
I
a
didn't
nice
like
feeling.
it.
I'm not
Burn your past.
Warm and fuzzy.
Burn your past.
Warm and fuzzy. All right, so let's move on. Speaking of heartbreak, an American who wants to remain anonymous has a message for us Canadians. It reads, "Dear Canada, we are so very, very sorry." The U.S. citizen who bought the advertising space told CTV News that he wanted to communicate how many Americans are pained by the economic damage and disrespectful assaults on our sovereignty. So what do you guys think about this? Is this a good idea? A nice thing to do?
I like it, yeah. I mean, I certainly appreciate it. I know that right now people have been talking about how in the city of Palm Springs, California, who also welcome like over 300,000 Canadian tourists every year, they've seen these signs that are popping up everywhere. This is like Palm Springs, like Hearts Canada, and they're everywhere. And I think this was in response also, apparently a lot of Canadians came home as snowboards that would have spent longer times, and a lot of airlines have canceled flights that went direct there, so they're losing tons of money. So I love this, and it's a reminder, of course, there are so many of us who have American friends, but the thing that worries me is it a little bit of thoughts and prayers kind of adjacent, like where it's like, it's nice, but like, what are you doing?
What are you doing about it?
Yeah. You know?
I'm totally with you. Listen, I think it's a nice gesture, but I wish that he had changed the messaging on the signing. I think he should be like, listen, Canada, you don't want this to happen to you. So voter apathy, stop doing that, because look at what happened to us. Because a lot of people didn't show up to vote for the U.S. election, and look at what they're in. Also to remind people not to believe all these conspiracy theories that you read online. Get into fact-checking. Pay attention to those things. Pay attention to what's going on in your economy and politics. Do not be us. Don't put your head in the sand and go, oh, he's good for the economy. Donald Trump has been the worst thing for everybody's economy. So to me, those signs should be warnings. Don't be us. Pay attention to what's going on.
What do you think, Jax?
See, I think a nice blanketed statement right now, because there's nothing tangible that can be done by the random American person. Right now, there's a power struggle, the dynamics. Sure, he's there, things are happening, but you know, I'm not sure how much this person paid for the sign. I'm not sure who this person is, but just putting out a general statement and with a nice little emoji, that's kind of nice. There's so much darkness going on right now. I don't think having, you know, when you can't do something tangible, just putting something up like this instead of doing nothing, why not? Why not give a nice nod to that? It's also not super political. It's just a blanket, you know, a simple statement with a couple of good emojis. And I love an emoji.
You know what?
I love a simple emoji.
My dad has a saying, frankisms all over the place, and he says, you never stop somebody from doing a good thing.
Yeah.
And I actually don't see any downside to this.
Yeah.
So I'm actually all for this. There's a lot worse things that could be done, and I think there is there's a lot of darkness, and we don't have enough of this. Having said that, it's on a lot of Americans' minds, which I'm kind of surprised about, which is lovely to hear, I guess. I agree that I think they need to be galvanizing, they need to be protesting, they need to be doing something to actually change something down there, because a sign doesn't change their leader. Action is going to potentially change their leader. But a friend of mine who goes to the States a lot, he was actually down in Texas, and he's a Canadian, and he said nobody talks about politics there because everybody's Republican. So they just kind of assume everybody's Republican. For the first time as a Canadian, people were actually coming up to him because they know he's Canadian and actually saying things like, oh my God, we are so sorry. As a Republican, I am so sorry for our president and in the way that it's impacting you guys. And like, he said, never, you just don't talk politics down there. So the fact that these hardcore Republicans are the ones saying sorry, they're saying things like, we voted for him. We did. We didn't vote for this. And there is in that a kind of I'm sorry.
But they did. But they did.
Or they didn't vote at all.
Or they didn't vote at all.
Okay, would you want a front row seat to your own funeral? The Washington Post is reporting on a D.C. man who planned both a party and a formal ceremony that he could attend before taking his final bow. So would you want to attend your own funeral, Jax?
Like, this seems dark in theory, but yes, I would. Like, I want to, you know, see my friends and my family and people I love in my community party together. I want essentially an East Coast kitchen party.
So why don't you just throw a party?
That's what the party would be, but well, first of all, when I was thinking about funeral, I thought, well, I would want to see how the people would be, but then I realized that's being a ghost, and that's haunting, and that's too spooky for me.
Yeah.
But I would want to have like a celebration of life while I'm still living, if I were able to, because I think that rightfully so, there's so much, you know, there's so much mourning in loss. However, there's also celebration in life, right? And I want people to celebrate me. I also want to celebrate other people in my life before they go, because I want them to feel the love that sometimes we hold on for people when it's too late, right? Like, I want them to be able to feel it, see it, and witness it. And I think that's important.
Okay,
also, good food. Come
all right,
on.
but here's another idea. Here's a crazy idea. How about when your friends call you, you answer the phone?
I do.
How about when you're in someone's neighborhood, not just you, when you're in your friend's neighborhood and you're passing by the house, how about you stop and knock the door and say hello? How about when you talk to your parents, you say, I love you? How about you talk to your parents? How about you call people? How about you invite people to your home on a regular basis? Like, that is the stuff that matters. To me, a funeral is a celebration of the end of a life. And if you are there, you're still here. So it doesn't make any sense to me. And I just went to a funeral this past weekend that was a beautiful homecoming. And I just can't imagine, like, I feel like it's a very narcissistic thing to do, to be like, I want for 2 hours my friends to gather and say nice things about me. And I'm like, are you gonna lie in a coffin while this happens or sit on a throne? Like, to me, it just feels weird. If you wanna see your friends, you're alive. Enjoy your life while you are here. It is very short. And when you are gone forever. So I don't understand this desire to have something that is very sad and morbid and have it while you're still here. Just throw a party and see your people on a regular basis. Trust me, when you have someone who's very close to you leave, listen, you're gonna be missing their voice, they're seeing them, smelling them, all of that stuff. I don't know why you'd wanna have this. And it's actually, somebody actually tried this. You know Shark Tank's Barbara Corcoran?
Yeah.
On her 70th birthday, she threw a funeral for herself. And there's a photo, she lay down in a coffin, and she? Yep, and she had 90 guests there, and she popped up while Diana Ross's I'm Alive was playing.
Did people think she was dead, though? Did they go there?
This was her theme for her party, and it felt like a rotten mango from a tree. People did not enjoy it. It was like, why would you do this?
Yeah.
People really didn't like it, and it's like, I think you got to think about what a funeral is. It's a homecoming. It is the end. If you're still here, Jax, I'll just come to your house and bring some food.
I don't want people to be. Maybe I just want an excuse for people to get together, and I think that
you don't need
especially since the pandemic, there's been just everybody feels so separated, and you know, friend groups feel compartmentalized, and I just feel like any excuse to get together, whether it be for a morbid reason or a good reason, is a good reason enough, and to share food and to hang out together.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. I would totally do this 1,000%. I'm gonna show this segment to my parents if they're not already watching, and you do this. There's a saying out there that I read. It says, a living funeral is for the dying, while traditional funerals are for the survivors. And that's a really interesting thing, because I think there's a cultural lens to it. The way that North Americans look at funerals is actually really different than the way that a lot of other cultures do. If you look at even the Anishinaabe, who are indigenous communities here in Canada, they regularly do this. It's a celebration of life, and it is a way to honor the person who is passing, and they usher them from one world to the next. It's a way to make amends, right? If there's people that you've lost contact with, and that is for the person who's dying, but that's also for the rest of us who are left behind, and you finally get an opportunity. I think that's a beautiful thing, and I think culturally in Japan they do this all the time as well, and the idea is this is their way of combating ageism, because to them the idea is when you get older, and a lot of people in North America think you become a burden when you get older, they want to respect and honor the aging, and the way to do that is to do a full circle moment. We come into this world into community, and they want you to leave this world surrounded by community, so this is an opportunity. And in Canada, listen, we have MAID, right? Assisted dying is becoming more and more common. So if you have a terminal illness and you know, I don't want everyone to see me at my worst. I just had somebody pass away on my street, and he really didn't want anyone to see him when he was at his really the weakest point in his life. But if he had, you know, potentially, or someone like him, a living funeral where you have your head about you, you can still see and remember everybody, and you plan it, it takes a little bit of the loss of control and maybe fear that is associated with the end of life away. I think there's a lot of fear associated with
I think you're right. I think it's very individualized, though, because that won't work for everyone. Like, I can see somebody finding this to be a wonderful thing. For somebody who leans introvert, like, for me, this is a bit of a nightmare. I'm just gonna be honest. And I'm thinking at the end of the life, and like, people showing up who I haven't seen in ages and trying to have quality time.
But it would be your invites.
Okay,
Your
even
invites.
still, trying to make quality time and meaningful conversation with like a whole bunch of people, and then the awkward goodbye. Like, this is the most awkward goodbye you could ever think.
Oh, my people pleasing would be terrible. Yeah, I would.
I don't want to be like, I'm gonna see you later. Goodbye. What are we saying here?
I don't know.
What do we bring? Do I bring a gift?
Yeah.
What do you do? I just don't think it's for everyone. I think if this speaks to you, and I just don't think it's something you can force on, let's say, like even though I would love this, if my parents wanted this to be there, but I don't think they would want this. So I think it very much has to come from the person who is dying.
It has to come from that person. And you know, there are death doulas who do this for a living.
Yes, there are. Yeah.
And they're saying the number one thing is the person who is dying is the one who is leading,
right.
who's creating.
Exactly.
Yes.
And I think it's also different. If you are dying and you know you're coming to the end of your life and you want to talk to all of your friends, it's different than you are 100% okay like Barbara and you're like, I want to throw a party.
I love this.
Yes.
Please don't do that.
I'm not showing up at that party. That's for sure.
No, that's weird.
All right, so if you're looking for something to do after the show, here's an idea. Join the millions of people around the world tuning in for 24-hour live coverage of Sweden's epic moose migration, folks. Are you guys into it? Very quiet. Okay, so...
Okay.
So do you see the appeal?
Listen, just FYI, we don't speak Swedish, but this is actually live right now. So I, for the research of this story, I said, well, let me check out what this live feed is all about. And at first I was like, oh, this is going to be really boring. It was so soothing and amazing. It's still up running in my office right now. And I didn't even see anything.
Yeah.
I saw nothing. What I did hear and see was something like this. We don't have the audio. They keep flipping. There's 23 cameras across different points where the migration can happen. And you know, like those channels on TV that is just like the burning fireplace?
Yeah, or the aquarium.
Or the aquarium.
Yeah.
It's like that, but real.
Yeah.
And I
But
love
you can also just go to the woods. Like, you
No, a lot of people can't. A lot of people.
Right? Am I
A
wrong?
lot of people
Well, we
can't.
can't go to those woods.
But a lot of people can't. Anyway, I just love this because I think more soothing, more nature. It's where we came from. It's what we need.
You
more
into this?
Yeah.
This feels This feels really like really early lockdown where we're like, I'll watch anything right now, okay? But I think lockdown, I would watch this like it's behind me and I feel better. You know what I mean? Like it feels good. I feel tranquil. I also think in a world of so many unknowns, like you can kind of figure out what's going to happen with this, you know?
Yeah.
And it feels good and it's just something nice. And also, I was thinking about this earlier because I was like, I want to spot them in the. What's the plural of moose? Because we were talking about
I know, we did not know the answer.
Isn't it just moose?
It's just moose.
I think it's just
It's not
So
meese.
a bunch of moose.
Because I was like, I'd love to watch the moose in the woods, and I was like, that means 1 or 7. Like, anyways, I'm outing myself. Glad to be back on the social, telling you I don't know how to say words. Yeah.
But you know what?
that feels good, doesn't it?
It feels
This
good.
also shows proof of how different a lifestyle Europeans live.
Yeah.
That they will
God, yes.
take the time that millions of people are tuning into this. And I think in North America, we're constantly looking on our phone and binge watching a show. I will admit, I could do this for maybe 5 minutes. And then I'd be like, you know what? I'm going to blame David Attenborough. You know the documentarian, British guy? He does great stuff, and I'm like, if I don't see a tiger, attacking an antelope, I really don't want to watch it. What are we doing here?
But you never
this
know.
Is a little too quiet for
I'm
me.
going to tell you what we're watching.
What are we watching?
Okay, as
What
we
is
go
that?
to break,
Two ducks?
I actually think there is a male bird doing a mating dance to try to woo a female.
You're making that up.
No, I'm not. Okay,
woods
on
lovers.
commercial
Maybe
break.
this is their version of that Camp Heartbreak. They're
All right, everybody, if you are considering a girls' trip, White Lotus, yes, you are, okay. White Lotus star Leslie Bibb has some advice for you. So in an interview with Elle, Leslie said that you should all go to therapy beforehand. What? And above all, do not share bedrooms.
Okay.
I don't know if I agree with those, but anyway, rules for girls' trips, ladies?
Also, if you're planning a girls trip, you could just come see us at the social. Just want to put that
very true.
You're wondering what to do. But I have 3 very strict rules, and they're all based on my experiences. First rule is leave your crappy attitude at home. If you are angry angry with somebody, if you're not over your relationship and you're still texting all the time, please do me a favor. I went to Hawaii with a girlfriend. She'd just broken up with her boyfriend. She spent the entire vacation inside the hotel with the blinds closed, texting her boyfriend. And I was like, why did we fly for 11 hours so you could do this? So don't do that. Also, bring your own money. This came from another girls' trip where as soon as we got to the airport, my girlfriend looked, she was like, oh my God, I think I forgot all my money on my credit card. And I was like, oh no, you didn't. I go, you know, the flight's leaving in 2 hours. You probably can go home and get your money, right? And then the last one, if you want to hook up with a guy because you're a grown woman, you have to tell us his name, where you're going, and when we call you, answer the phone. Because we're in a foreign country and we all need to be safe. Those are my 3 rules.
Yeah.
Wow, okay. I don't think ladies give themselves enough credit. Like, why are we thinking that going on a trip together requires so much maintenance to go away together? Oh, you got to go to therapy, warrior. Like, it's like we're going on a trip together. And I think if you are going on a trip with friends, you should have more faith in your friends that you're going to get along on your girls' trip.
Yes.
Yeah.
That being said, you have to have similar styles.
Yeah.
Like, I know that when I'm hanging out with friends on a trip, we have to have, you know, similar rotting times. Like, if we're on a vacation at an all-inclusive,
I was like, what is it?
We need to be able to go back and lay in our separate beds and scroll without talking to each other. You know, coexisting times.
Yeah.
That's about it. I don't think a girls' trip is that much of like a hellfire to go through.
I agree with you. I think in this particular case, it was because they were childhood friends.
Yeah.
And you know, I have like childhood friends that are not a group dynamic, but like 1 or 2 that I've known since I was like grade 2. And I would travel one-on-one with. But when you deal with a group of people who've known each other for a long time, I think therein lies where the baggage can come up because they have like long histories and comfort levels that you might have with family. So like I actually think I can understand why in this particular, and if you've seen the series, you understand why they might have needed therapy beforehand, but then the trip itself ended up being therapy for them.
Well, listen, I needed therapy after watching the show.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
I needed therapy for their therapy because their trauma was just like, woo. And listen, I don't know about you. I have, my girls' trips are like my everything, and there isn't a lot of effort. There's some ground rules, which is like you probably setting financial limits, like just so that everybody's financially on the same page. Like, you know, how often are we eating out? How much are we wanting to spend? But most of us don't, like we've dealt with that in the past. We kind of all have the same shorthand. To me, the less work, the better. And in fact, if you have a good group of girls, those trips only make you closer. Like, cause not just girls, traveling with anybody, period, is an eye-opener. It's gonna either work or it's not gonna work. And I think part of my great friendships is because we travel, we all love to travel, but we all travel really well together. And we're all not all the same people. You know, I mean, we've done a lot of girls' trips. We're all very different people. But what I will say—
That's when Jess and I go off and we do our own thing, and then you, the partiers, go
well, then we're in the club, and they're taking, you know,
dancing. Okay.
Yeah,
so, girls' night.
I don't know. I think if you're having stress over a girls' trip, like maybe reassess that friendship group. It's not about the trip; it's about the friends. Maybe.
True.
You know.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Jax, I mentioned this off the top of the show because you just launched a brand new podcast, and there it is. Adam Wild and Jax.
What a graphic.
So some people may recognize this duo, but tell us more about the new show.
Well, despite the fact that we look like siblings in every photo that we're in, and people often may ask, we did just launch the podcast. That's Adam Wild, one of my dear friends, and also longtime co-host. We worked across the parking lot on 99.9 Virgin Radio for many years together. We had a wonderful time, and after we wrapped that up, we took a beat, and then we came back with sprinkling here and there of some digital content. We built a little studio, and then we did a full podcast launch in March.
What you talk about?
It's about relating, dating, mating, and everything in between.
Oh, wow.
And it's the way, I guess, best to describe it is we want you to feel like there's 3 of us, Adam, me, and you, okay? We're having a conversation, the 3 of us, and it's like catching up. It's not, you know, the first time meeting, we're getting to know each other. I want, in a world of, you know, podcasts and content in general, I want us to be able to offer something warm, be able to offer something familiar, and also silly. There is some ridiculousness that goes on there, so it's available on all, I guess, streaming platforms.
And what days? When does
we are
it drop?
every Wednesday. It's weird to be talking about myself on the show. Every Wednesday morning, we put out the audio as well as the video, so you can watch us, you can hear us, you can do all of the things and watch us cringe every single week on Wednesdays.
We love this.
Adam Wild and Jax on all platforms. Yeah.
Subscribe to the Social Podcast so you don't miss a fiery debate. Until next time, socialites.